Welcome to Arise Life, a community of believers being equipped, empowered, and released into their destiny. For more information, go to ariselife.org or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
We've been going for a while on this whole idea of that we are transformed by encounter. But who got to encounter Jesus a little more than anybody else? This is not a trick question. Who in the Bible got to encounter Jesus the most? Disciples, okay? Okay, guys, I'm not tricking you up. It's really simple, okay? People are like, I don't know. Okay, Jesus, right? Jesus and the disciples, guys, he walked with. And I'm so grateful because we have this perfect example of what it looks like to live a life of encounter with God in the flesh, Jesus, right? And so I was really thinking about this, like, what does it take to walk with God? What does it take to walk in this life of continual transformation? And this week I was talking to the Lord about it, and he goes, Peter, you're making it complicated. Anybody here made it complicated? Right? Do you remember who made it really complicated in Jesus' time to follow God? The Pharisees. You guys remember? God wanted to give them 10 rules to follow God, right? Do you guys remember? There were 5 that was basically just me. Just me. Just me. God's saying me, okay? And by the way, and keep the Sabbath. By the way, I want you to so trust me that you don't work all the time. Do you know this idea of a Sabbath rest is so unique? This idea that you can just trust and not live a life of utter survival. He's like, the evidence that you trust me is that you actually let me care for you. Let me love you. Okay? So 5 rules about him, about God alone, right? He said, I'm jealous. You and me, okay? And then he said 5 rules about how to live with people. Not complicated. He literally made it like for Sunday school. Isn't that nice of him? Anybody know what they are? Don't kill. Oh, man, there goes my Tuesday plans. Right? Don't steal. No, duh, Sherlock. What grade were you when you figured out you shouldn't do that? Don't lie. Okay, once again, some of us learned that a little later in life. Right? Don't covet. Now, that's a weird one. Oh, don't commit adultery, right? Right? Again, like all this is like super obvious, right? But then it's don't covet, right? Don't covet. Don't covet. That right there is just a window that there's more. But anyway, so he just wanted 10 rules. But what did they said, we don't want 10 rules. Because that means we actually have to walk with you and listen to your voice. We want to do it without your listening to your voice. Who here has just thought, God, if you would just download me the plan for the week, I wouldn't bother you again? 4? I'll wait. Right? No, I mean, who here would trade in a relationship with God just to have the perfect plan? No way. And he knows us, though. He knows us. And so what does he say? He said, you couldn't do the perfect plan without me anyway. So what did he do? He let them have the perfect plan. 200 and some rules. They couldn't keep them. So they were like, they came up with 400 more rules to try to help them keep the rules. Right? Who are my people? You're on a diet. And your diet says limit portion control, right? And only eat between these times. The problem is the food is in the refrigerator all the time. So, okay, first of all, we have to get all the food out of the house. Second of all, everybody in my life better be on the same diet, right? Because I need to create this buffer zone to be able to do it. That's what they were doing, trying to create a buffer zone. And here you are in this place where instead of 10 rules, we have now 613 rules. And the difficulty is, have you ever known somebody in your world who actually thought they were doing it, but they weren't? Jesus said, they will know you by your fruit, right? What is the fruit? In that passage, he said, the fruit is not miracles. Because he said, you'll say, didn't we heal people in your name? Didn't we do this? So what's the fruit? Anybody know? What did Paul tell us? Love, joy, peace, patience. long-suffering, goodness, gentleness, faith, the fruit of the Spirit. And in fact, Jesus said, they will know you are my disciples by your love, right? And by your fruit. So here's the funny thing is, who here has tried to do substitutionary fruit? Do you know what I'm talking about? Like God says is leading you to sacrifice something here, and you're like, I see you, I hear you, but maybe you would prefer behind door number 2. And I want to say is last week, many of us came to this point of surrender. And some of the death that Masha was talking about was because we came to a point of surrender. Now, I'm just going to tell you I'll tell you a little story. I've shared this before, but I was in a place and I had a boss and I had this idea of something I wanted to do, and I was going to bring it before the boss, and I was praying about it, and I wanted just to get it just perfect so he would say yes. And God said, be ready for him to say no. You need to prepare your heart. And so I got my heart all ready for him to say no, but because I thought if I was ready for him to say no, he'd say yes, right? Who are my people? Game the system, right? I'm surrendering this so I don't have to surrender it. I'm going to surrender this so I don't have to die. And then I brought it before him, and he said, oh, honestly, I mean, you can do it. And out of my mouth came the most holy, sanctimonious, actually Holy Spirit-led words. I said, I don't want you what you'll allow. I only want what you bless, because only what you bless will thrive here. And I walked out and I was like, what was I thinking? Why did I say that? Why did I say that? And then I turned to God and I said, you were supposed to make him let me do this. And God said, it's not surrender if there's take backsies. Who here has theoretically surrendered something? Okay, 4 of us. Okay. Oh, do you know what I'm talking about? I surrender it so I don't have to surrender it. I surrender it so I don't have to die. Oh, Jesus. But anyway, so I'm thinking about this, and I was like, God, what does it look like to walk with you? And Jesus, I felt like he said, go to the Sermon on the Mount. Do you guys know the Sermon on the Mount? If you got Bibles, I want you to open up to Matthew chapter 5. We're going to stay in there today. So the thing about it is, have you ever had God lead you to a passage where you already know all the answers? And so you're like, Jesus, show me, I want the secret things. I want the secrets. Do you know in Jesus' time, the Pharisees were experts at the secrets. They have mountains and mountains, the Mishnah and all of these writings around the secrets of trying to dig into the nitty-gritty and make sense of all the prophecies and everything else. And after all that writing about the prophecies, they still miss Jesus, but whatever. And in all that nitty-gritty, Jesus shows up, and instead of talking about all this high-flying, deep, spiritual things, he comes and he preaches the Sermon on the Mount. So, let's look at that real quick. Chapter 5, verse 3. He walks up and he goes, hey guys, you want to be happy? Who here wants to be happy? Isn't that in our Constitution? The pursuit of happiness. Oh, wait, it doesn't say you get happiness. You're allowed to pursue it, right? But pursuit of happiness. He says, blessed. A better way to say that might be that happy are those who are poor in spirit. Anybody? I didn't sign up for that trip. I came to you for happiness, not for poor in spirit. Happy are for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn? No. For they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek. Now, in their world, they had literally been beaten by everybody left, front and center, but their high point in their history was the Maccabees when they kicked out the Seleucid Empire and took back the temple, and they're like, woohoo! Basically, they had the same feeling about their country that we have about America. They had a revolutionary war, involved the Maccabees. Maccabees was George Washington to them. And they're like, woohoo, baby, Second Amendment for Jesus, right? And they were like, woo, kick out the Romans, take them down. The only question was, do we kill them quietly or loudly? That was really their only question. And he goes, blessed are the meek. And by the way, that is as bad a word as it sounds. Bah. Blessed are the meek, for they will seize the earth. No? What? Inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Okay, if you hunger and thirst for something, what does it say about the thing you hunger and thirst for? You don't have it. What were the Pharisees obsessed with? Being righteous. As Paul said, according to the law, I was absolutely righteous. And he says, if you admit that you don't have it, then you can receive it. Remember, what did he say to the Pharisees? When the Pharisees got ticked at him for hanging out with prostitutes and tax collectors and sinners. Remember what he said to them? He said, I came for the sick. The healthy don't, which you apparently, Pharisees, are healthy. You don't need me. Who here has felt healthy when you were dying? Who here thought you were okay when you were really just comfortably numb? Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Anybody here been holding on to a grudge, waiting for fulfillment? How's that going? God says if you want mercy, you have to be willing to give it. Blessed are the pure. Now, the Pharisees like, gotcha, in heart. Oh, man! For they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, which, by the way, that is the dirtiest word for a Jew. That's basically saying you're a sellout to the Romans. Blessed are the peacemakers. We can't make peace with the Romans. Anybody? For they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness. Yeah, about that. Who here is like, you're waiting on that? That's like your promise verse. Like, you're just like, yeah. And well, let's just go on. You can add this to your t-shirt. For theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Wait. Okay. Blessed are you when happy are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. That was the part. I was good with them persecuting me, but just don't lie about me. Because of me. Rejoice and be glad. What's wrong with this picture, guys? Any of you seeing a problem with this picture? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. The answer is yes. And that is the point. Because, see, God doesn't want to give us a life that we can do. He doesn't want to give us this life only better. He doesn't want to improve your life. He wants to take your life and be your life. But the only way that is possible is through surrender. And when I said about this, I think it's complicated following Jesus. Who here has been faced with a problem, faced with an issue, and you have spent hours, agonizing hours doing the calculus on the decision? Who are my people? I mean, agonizing. And I was doing that at one point in my life, and I'd been up all night, and I was wrestling, and I was wailing, and I was moaning, and I was complaining, and I was blaming, and I was shaming. Anybody? Anyway, and I went through the night, and God said, you know what you're trying to do, Peter? You're trying to figure out how not to die. Trying to figure out how to get what I want without dying. Trying to get what I want without surrendering my will, without surrendering my idea of what is good. Now, can I just read this again? Now, if I were to sign up, you just have to choose one, and we're going to make an aisle. You choose a line to get in. What line are you getting in? Poor. Well, don't do in spirit. Just go for poor. Poor, okay? Who's in the poor line? You have to choose one. I want to see hands. You're voting. This is going to last throughout eternity. Who are my poor people? Who wants poor? Okay, good. Some are like, I'm already there. It's okay. All right. I'm already comfortable. It's all good. All right, who wants to be mourning, which means you have lost stuff? Who wants to lose stuff? Lose people. No? Okay. Who here wants to be meek and taken advantage? Who wants to be meek and taken advantage? No? Okay. Who here would like to be starving for what you desperately need? Nah. How about who wants to be constantly forgiving everybody, even if they don't even know what they did? Who are my people? I'll forgive you. Just grovel a little. Who here wants to be pure in heart? In other words, you're not in charge of what goes into your heart. God is the only one who gets to decide what goes into your heart. Who here wants to be known as the person who's constantly... Some of you are like, I'm already a peacemaker and it's killing me. Who here is like, okay, then fine. I'll settle for persecution. Slander? Insults? So what is wrong with this picture? Why is Jesus doing this? He's not doing this because he's a jerk. He's trying to say, guys, there is another way. So if you guys can imagine, I went ahead and I got some Post-its. All right, so imagine this. Imagine this. There we go. All right, this is you. You're green. Part Martian. Okay, this is you. Here you are. If you imagine all of these dots, all of these intersections are possible outcomes. Now, I have a question. Are there some outcomes in life that are not good? Okay, good. One of the interesting things is I realize this, the older you get, the more outcomes there are that are bad. Why? What's that? Because you're getting old? You live longer? Experience? You have done field research, right? You know they're bad, right? Okay, why do we determine certain outcomes are bad? Because they hurt, right? We have had negative consequences from it. Who here, when you've gone through something bad, you have made a vow? Like what kind of vows? I'll never do that again. Never again, right? So what happens is we go, okay, it will not be good here. It will not be good here, not here, not here, not here. Now, the great thing is the Bible also eliminates options, right? So apparently murder is off the table because I was fantasizing it after the last thing, right? Stealing, right? Adultery, bum, 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 right? And that's just the 10 Commandments. Right? Let's just start with the 10 Commandments. So I have all these areas that are no-fly zones, right? But who here is still feeling like a pinball and you keep discovering bad choices? Anybody here discovered a bad choice this week? Yeah? Right? Okay, so you're like, oh, man. And there comes a point where you're like, I'm sick. I'm tired of playing this game of battleship with life. I don't want to do it anymore. I want to quit making bad decisions and learning from my pain. So maybe I turn to some sort of program, some sort of self-help program, or I can try the Pharisees' way. Eliminate all those options and stay right between those navigational beacons. Don't touch. It's like a game of operation. Don't touch, right? And everything should be fine. Who here has leaned to religion for that? No? Okay. All right. So this is what the Pharisees, they're like, we figured it out. And Jesus goes, cool. Can I talk to you about something? Because see, what God's like, Jesus is like, blessed are you when you mourn. No, we don't go there, Lord. Blessed are you when people ridicule you. Blessed are you when they slander you. No. Jesus, we're only able to follow you here. Do you want to know something? You know the number one reason I've struggled to hear God in my life is because he's talking over here and I'm only allowing him to speak to me here. Because I have already determined what is good, right? He says it's good to be poor. Say what? He says it's good to be poor, meaning dependent on others. No, the American dream is your castle, your home, independence, 401k, need nothing, do not depend on anybody. Who are my people? Come on. Yeah, and no, he's like, my dream for you is that you're poor so you need one another. My dream is that you are forgiving constantly, giving mercy to people, a.k.a. being in situations where you have to forgive, a.k.a. hurt. Ooh. Vulnerable to broken people. Have you noticed? If you do have a relationship, you have to forgive. Who's found that out? How often do you have to forgive if you are in a relationship with someone? Momentarily is accurate. And the longer you live, the more you have. Right? Right? It's like if you don't want to have to need mercy, do life by yourself. If you don't want to have to actually do life, if you don't want to have to forgive, just go live on an island, and then you'll have to forgive yourself for doing that to yourself. But whatever. But that's the thing is, I've got all these options where I'm like, I don't go there. I don't go there. I don't go there because those are bad. Going to Ukraine in the middle of a war zone, bad idea. And God, one of the things God has been saying to me, he said, Peter, you're proud because you'll let me take you to here, where other people, poor people, are only following me here. But where I'm wanting to lead you is here. I don't know about you. If I'm in the middle of a storm in a small boat where the professionals are terrified for their lives, I don't think, what should I do with my free time? I think I'll take a nap. That's not an option I think of. Does that make sense? Do you understand how many options we have, but we automatically exclude it? This is a totally natural one. So Danya and I were talking about this band that we both like. And I was like, I want to go see, maybe we can go see them. And I pulled up their tour schedule, and the closest they come is Oklahoma City. And Brent was ready and willing. I was like, well, that's not an option. And you know what God said? He said, why? I was like, and in that moment, it revealed I have a whole bunch of automated algorithms in my head that eliminate options. Automated. And God's like, I'm not saying you need to go to Oklahoma City, but why are you automatically saying we don't do that? He said, what if I got you $40 plane tickets? Would that be all right? I'm like, I guess. I wasn't even thinking that way. He said, no, does Sherlock. This morning at dark 30, I was here in the morning, and then I went out to a racetrack, and there I was the only one in there, and I was in there, and who here, when it's early and you're awake, you're intelligent as long as you don't talk to people? You know what I'm talking about? Like, you think you're intelligent, and then you open your mouth and you're like. So I've been up for 2 or 3 hours, and I was like, woohoo! I was like jamming, and I'm really intelligent. And this guy was in there tending stuff, and I went to open my mouth, and like it was just like I was drooling. Like I couldn't form sentences. So I was like, cool. Who here are my people? I don't talk before XYZ, right? And I'm in there, and God goes, do I get to play? Because I've already eliminated all options for interaction at this hour. Nobody needs Peter at that hour. And I was like, okay. I was like, I have no brain. I have no function. I was like, well, what do you want to do? He said, just ask him if you can pray for him. I said, is there anything I can pray for you for? And you would have sworn I suddenly turned blue with the voice of Will Smith offered him 3 wishes. Like literally, he was like, oh, man, I got to think about that. Oh, don't want to make a mistake. Like, it was amazing. Like, I was like, well, he's like, honestly, I really could use a new job. I said, well, what kind of job? He said, well, I could use like a day shift. He said, yeah. He said, really, like graphic design? I said, well, I happen to know a guy. He said, you do? Just have the. I said, well, let me pray for you. I pray for him. I move on my merry way. Most of my life, that wouldn't have been an option. period, let alone at 5 a.m. But what God's increasingly showing me is he has options. Now, let me show you another one. For the OCD at home, try to get the lines to line up. I'm here for you. All right, so here you are. You are now red. And so one of the things I realize is in every situation I come into, oh, you don't do this, by the way. So if you imagine each of these intersections down here is a good outcome. Give me some good outcomes in life. Big money. No whammies. Got it. What else? Love. Love. Love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. Okay, all right. Horses. I can't draw those. Listen, next you're going to say T-Rex. I can't do that. Children. Except when they're not.
Don, you can draw you a horse.
Yeah, that's true. Danya could. She would draw a great horse.
Perfect health.
What's that? Health. Perfect health. Again, I'll just do I don't know, whatever the cardiogram. What else? Adventure. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know. I'll just say that. Okay, we've run out of space. So these are good outcomes. The problem is, anybody know there's some bad outcomes in life, right? Right?
All the ones on top of there.
No love. Death. Right? Like, again, loss. Minus money. Right? Whatever. Like, there are a whole bunch of bad outcomes. So this is what I do. I go into a situation, I immediately assess what are the good outcomes I want, right? And then I attempt to find a path that takes me there. Who are my people? Who here has read a Choose Your Own Adventure book? And you gamed it by finding the good ending and then, you're my people. All right, and you try to figure out your way you guarantee that you can get to good ending. You reverse engineer it, right? So you're like, okay, if I want to go here, then I got to do here. If I want to get married, I need to find them. Do they get a choice? I'm not sure. But I need to find them, right? So I'm going to have to go, and I could go, let's see, we could try to church. No, they're all ugly. Okay, I'm going to go out to the clubs. They're all drunk. I'm going to go online. They're all sus. Wow, we're running out of options, right? Who are my people? You try an option, you're like, not there, and you're running out of options, right? You're running out of possibilities. Because running out of a genetic pool. But anyway, just don't dive. It's very shallow. Anyway, so the problem is we have all these good outcomes, and I am determining which one is good, and I'm making decisions based on what I think will be a path to that, right? Now, the problem is if we were to think about this, what makes a good path to a good thing?
Ask God.
Okay, ask God. You're on to me, but in my own mind, what makes something a good path to my goal? Okay, success. What else?
I'm interested.
Interesting.
It's like a straight line, more or less.
Straight line, right? No turns, right? Do not pass go. Straight? It feels good. Feels good. No. All right, what was that? Easy. Yeah. Oh, now you're speaking. Easy. Safe.
Deceptive.
Accepted.
Deceptive.
Oh, what? Deceptive. That's good. You want?
I thought you were.
Okay, good paths. I'm looking for good paths. Don't lead us astray. A snake in the weeds. All right, okay. He's leading us astray. All right, what else? Give me a couple more. No pain. No pain, all gain. I love it. That's my t-shirt.
I get what I want.
Me, my. I'll do one last one for you. shortest possible time. Right? So those are our criteria. So the result is do not pass go, do not collect $200. Who knows, the likelihood you get any of those is very low. Anybody? Why not? Because God's bad, right? Too short of a life? Free will individuals. I'm perfect, but look at the people I have to deal with, right? What else? The devil. Come on. The devil in the deep blue sea. Devil. Others. Anybody have your own stupidity? 4 of us? Okay, we'll have a meeting later. Wow. You guys can pray for us. Stupidity? Okay. What else? Anybody think you're ready to receive the thing you've asked for? And you overestimated your readiness? Oh, man, I was praying. Oh, Lord, send me a woman. And then I met Masha, and I'm like, I ain't ready for no woman. I will destroy her. Right? No. So there's a process I might need to go through. But here's the problem. Here is the real issue with it all. It goes back to good old Adam and Eve. Do you know what all of this is? I determine what is good, what is a good outcome, and I determine what is a good way, and I determine what is a good choice. The tree of the knowledge of good and evil. I determine what's good and what's bad. And Jesus goes, have you thought about loss? Have you considered persecution? Because I think that'd be a great way to find your spouse. Have you considered prison? Because that's a great place to meet people. Do you feel called to prison ministry? Right? Like, what are you thinking? God has options I know not of, but I don't know them. Does that make sense? And because I've already excluded them. Okay, and then one final one. So, one of the problems is, so here I am, and I'm planning my path, right? Like, let's say I'm hearing God. Who here has a word from God about an ultimate good in your life? Anybody? Right? Okay. All right. Let's say love, right? Love. All right, love. And I'm like, okay, God, I'm going to try to figure out my path to love. And according to Ethan, it's the straight line, right? So I'm just going to start trekking. Who are my people? Like, do not pass go, make all the decisions yourself, talk with Jesus later. Mistakes were made. Yes. Okay. Well, we're going to talk to Jesus. Don't worry. I promise you. Because we're going to start moving, right? Each of these is a decision. And then we hit a roadblock, right? Right? We're just going to keep going in what seems like a good direction until we hit a roadblock, right? What are we going to do when we hit a roadblock? Pray. I love it. Okay, wait, we have choices. We have panic. We have prayer. I'll give you another P. Pout. Be paralyzed. Paralyzed. Oh, try harder. Oh, who are my people? Break it down with your forehead. Yeah. If at first you don't succeed, keep trying, even if it's fatal. Yeah. Come on. Yeah, oh, come on. Yes. So try hard. Okay, so the thing is, though, right? Well, let's just say we're good people. Can we be good people for a minute? And we're not going to live. We've come to our senses. Maybe I should have invited Jesus into my boat. Okay, Jesus, the next decision you get to make. And he goes, great. You want love? Yeah, I want love. Great. So why don't you go over there? That's why we don't invite Jesus into the boat. That is why. We do. Okay, Jesus, try again. Anybody here tried multiple choice with Jesus? Yeah, good luck with that. Anyway, well, let's just say we agree. I follow you. Sure enough, and then now I've got my new path, right? Who are my people? No problem. Redirect. We can do this. And then I run into another block. And then another block. And the problem is, he says, if you want love, I want you to go here. What I realized for myself is that most of the good God wants for me is better than I can ask, think, or imagine. That should have told me I can't think or imagine. You see a problem? What am I thinking about all these choices? I'm thinking and imagining. I'm not listening and obeying. This is why I want to say it's not complicated, but we make it complicated because we come up with our plans and try to get God to bless them. Man comes up with the plans, but God does what? Ordains or directs his. But who here steps until you hit the wall? Instead of, Jesus, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? What do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? And what I'm realizing is I am regularly excluding options for him. So now's where the rubber's going to hit the road. Because what I want to say is, there's only one way to live this life for Jesus, and it is not, my life is not my own. It's been bought with a price. I can't just show up to Jesus and get him to bless my mess when I need it, because constantly I'll be blaming him for the mess I made. And I can't trust God like that. The only way is this place of surrender. And the minute I realize I've taken back the reins, I surrender again. I say, God, it's no longer I who live, but you who lives through me. What do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? What is your grace? What is your will? And when I say, what do you want me to know? I'm not going to be narrow about it. Hopefully next week we're going to have a round table that's going to talk about this. How do we do this naturally in community? How do we hear God in the ways when our thinking is so narrow and limited? What I want to say in that place where I am so limited and I'm wanting him is this place of, God, what do you want me to know? What do you want me to do? And here's the problem is 9 times out of 10, what he's going to tell me to do has nothing to do with what I want. Right? Anybody? Oh, you have leprosy? Oh, God, go dip in that manure-filled stream down there. What? Oh, you're blind? Let me help you with that. Right. You want to become greatest in the kingdom of yeah. Then get down and wipe the manure off these men's feet. Be last. If you want to be comforted, you need to lose everything. You want to know mercy, you need to forgive. He's saying, guys, I have options for you, but you are limiting me in where I can direct you because you've already determined what is good and what is bad. Now, don't get it twisted. There are things that are bad. Killing. No, please, don't tell me you went out of here and took it as a license to kill people. That's not what I'm saying. But God has options. Could it be that we have given him so little to work with that we've been stuck? Who here has been stuck in a dead end for a minute? And you're just stuck. If you're honest, I'm just stuck. And your options are get out or kill people. And you're like, I don't want to do prison ministry. Right? Like God has other options, but they're not going to look like what you think they are. So I just want to read something to you. And it's going to challenge you because it challenged me. Because I don't know about y'all, there's a lot of things in my life where God cannot speak to me. He cannot lead me because I've already figured out what is good. This is written about a group in the Middle East. One of our national friends in a country where we formerly worked was detained and then tortured last year due to his vocal faith in Christ. The secret police would do absolutely horrific things I won't say. While they were doing it, the police would order him to renounce Christ. Our teammate reported that every time the police did this to him, he could hear Jesus whispering in his ear, I'm inside your pain. Every time they did it, every time they do this to you, more of me, Jesus, comes out. Do you know what his emotions were in that moment? In the moment that would have traumatized us? Joy. Can I ask you a question? Consider it all joy, my friends, when you face trials of many kinds. Is joy an option in your trial? Or is it just, we're going to die? Peace was because Christ appeared to him in the suffering, and his grace was abundant and generous for the place. We read the amazing stories in the Bible about how people respond to persecution, and we want them to be true, but we mostly don't believe them to be true. Now, I'm not saying this. I need you to hear this. My goal in this is you hear that God has options. God has options in your situation, no matter how bad it is. Could it be that you are viewing it through your own eyes and not through the eyes of Jesus? If you're interested in more options, listen up. Oh, yeah, they're singing in dungeons. They're praising God in coliseums. Yeah, right. But true joy was flowing from our tortured teammate because his mind was fixed on truth. The prophet Isaiah writes, perfect, absolute peace surrounds those whose imaginations are consumed with you. They confidently trust in you. Your mind is powerful. If you lay in bed at night and think about exercising, your mind will make your body prepare to exercise. That's its power. Your mind will believe the real and the unreal just as quickly. Anybody? Just as quickly. Depending on what you want to focus on. Your imagination doesn't distinguish between real and unreal. If you fix your imagination, fix your mind on the things of God, you can be joyful no matter what's going on. After doing this to our teammate dozens of times, the police realized that the young man was finding joy within torture. They said, we've either got to kill him or let him go. The problem is, he seems like he wants us to kill him. They arrived at this conclusion because our teammate kept calling out to Jesus that he wanted to see him face to face. In the pain, our friend felt deep joy, but the thought of seeing Jesus face to face brought tears to his eyes. What do I have to do to get you to move in front of me so I can see your face, Jesus? He called out aloud. He sensed Jesus saying, you'd have to come home with me. What do you think our teammate said he wanted to do? He wanted to go. He was truly experiencing what Paul said, to live is Christ and to die is gain. What if you believe that? You would be invincible and eternally at rest. The secret police said, if we kill him, it's going to be the greatest joy of his life. Let him go. No! Our teammate cried, no! So they released him. He came back to us. He was 25 years old at that time, a young Muslim who had come to Christ and had been a believer for only 1 year when he was tortured. Maybe you don't think you've known him long enough. What I want to say with that is, at this point, if it was me, I would exclude some options from my life. I need to leave this country, right?
For sure.
Let's see what kind of options he has. He was frustrated. He said, I was so close to seeing Jesus. Jesus was almost right there, and then they stopped. We were thinking, God, we don't want to be that close. We're happy. We don't want to die right here. 1 year later, at age 26, our young Muslim friend and follower of Jesus is participating in a late-night Bible study in the desert. He and his friends would travel out there at night to meet with an American who drove a van filled with lawn chairs out into the desert to lead secret Bible study. The American would set up a circle of chairs at a predetermined location and then wait for the Muslims to appear out of the night to study the scriptures with him. They would study the Bible through the night, and just before dawn, they would pray, embrace, and then vanish back into the desert. On this night, he is explaining a recurring dream he's been having. I keep dreaming I'm walking through my darkened house with a flashlight trying to locate my family, but I keep dropping a cloth over the light, making it less visible. I think God is trying to tell me something, but I don't understand. One of the other Muslim believers reads aloud Matthew 5:15 through 16, right after our passage here. And who would light a lamp and then hide it in an obscure place? Instead, it's placed where everyone in the house can benefit from its light. So don't hide your light. Let it shine brightly before others so that your commendable works will shine as light upon them. And then they will give their praise to your Father in heaven. The young Muslim believer concludes, oh, I know what that means. I need to get my whole tribe, extended family together and explain Jesus to them. The following day, he goes to his uncle and says, I need the whole tribe together so I can talk about how I've come to faith in Jesus. His uncle warns him, if I call the tribe together and you speak of these things, some may plan to kill you. But the young Muslim believer is beyond the fear of death. See, he has options that you and I don't have. He is fearless. 400 people came out. He gives his testimony. 2 days later, 3 of his cousins drag him out the desert and shoot him between his legs to shame and castrate him, and then they leave him to die. But he doesn't die. He is found by some shepherds who take him to a small hospital. There, a doctor saves his life, but informs him he'll never have children and never walk again. But his body heals, and he can have children, and he does walk again. Now, at this point, what are my options? First of all, I no longer have a family, and I'm leaving the country tomorrow. And I never want to say anything about Jesus again. Who here, you've done things in obedience to Jesus, they didn't turn out the way you thought, and you hoofed it out? Me. And I have a story. Jesus was telling me this. He's like, Peter, the problem with your life is not the facts. It's the story you tell yourself. Yep. You don't let me tell your story. You tell me your story. And after his recovery, he goes back to his uncle and says, let's do it again. I need to speak to them again. Apparently, they didn't understand what I meant because they took it the wrong way. Do we know the same God? Do we know the same God? When he informs us that he wants to go back and speak to his tribe again, we are horrified. We warn him not to do it. We, his mature disciplers. Do you know why we are afraid? Because we don't believe the gospel like he believes the gospel. We haven't experienced the tangible presence of Jesus as he has. Listen. We experience the tangible presence of Jesus here so we can experience it there. So you can experience it in a racetrack. So you can experience it at your job. You can experience it in your home. You can experience with your neighbors. That is where the Lord is challenging us. The young Muslim goes back to his tribe, speaks to them again, and the ones who shot him are right in the front row. He says, apparently you didn't understand my message. I forgive you in the same way Jesus forgives you. It's okay. I'm fine. He then proceeds to explain the gospel again. 2 days later, the same guys abduct him, stab him multiple times, and push him down in a ravine in a desert-like wilderness, thinking he will bleed out. This time, he is discovered by a military patrol. Now remember, who did torture him the first time? Police. Am I going to open my mouth? I don't have that option. They say, what happened to you? My cousin stabbed me. Why? The soldiers ask. Because I met Jesus. These Muslim soldiers are amazed at his story. When he tells them what had happened the first time, they said, you spoke to your tribe again after they shot you? Yes. Who is this Jesus you're speaking about? The soldiers are so moved by his courage, they go and find the cousins and arrest them. Let God handle the vengeance part. You just forgive. How is this young Muslim believer so fearless? You would say it's because he knows the God who speaks. He knows his identity in the kingdom of God. And I would say because he knows he has options. I don't know where you're at, but if you have lived longer than 2 minutes, you already have a lot of exclusions to the path God can lead you. But I would ask you this. Could it be that he's worthy of our trust? Could it be that he's worthy of our trust? That he can lead us into the valley of the shadow of death? Could it be the things he's promised are actually on the other side of the places we will not go? On the other side of the things we will not forgive? On the other side of the relationships we have consigned to Gehenna? Could it be that the things he has for us are the places where we have suffered the greatest loss? Moses, don't take me back to Egypt. They want me for murder. Could it be that you are not disqualified from the promises God has given you? Listen, if killing Christians didn't disqualify Paul, there's hope. I just want to say this, but I want to say one of the things that we surrender is my right to choose my path or to choose my outcome. I have to surrender the outcomes, and I have to surrender the path, And then I surrender and I obey today the voice of the Lord. But Lord, this doesn't seem to lead to where you're telling me to go. If I do that, I'll be alone. If I do that, I'll be bankrupt. If I do that, I'll lose everything. If I do that, I'll be ashamed. If I do that, they'll take advantage of me again. If I do that, I'll never walk in what you called me to do. But because you say so, we'll let down our nets. Because you say so, here is my son Isaac. Because you say so, I will follow you. My life is in your hands. If we could bow our heads. I feel like this is a holy moment because many of us have found that our surrender was tested in death this week. That we surrendered with a particular outcome in mind and we have not gotten it, or it didn't happen, or the reverse happened, and we're wanting to play take backsies, and God's saying, no! Taste and see that I am good. What if your trauma doesn't have to traumatize you? What if the valley of the shadow of death is not death, but the gateway to life? What if I have good things for you and you don't have to live in terror and fear? What if I have amazing things in store for you? But you have excluded all the options where I can lead you. Father, we come before you and we say, forgive us for judging you, for saying you're not good because you don't do things our way, when in fact the things you have for us are far better than the things we want for ourselves. Lord God, give us the courage to believe that you have options where we said, you've led me out into the wilderness to die. Lord, that you have options when I'm the only one, nobody else is following you, God. You have options. 8,000 haven't bent the knee. Go find Elisha. You, Lord, have options. God, I ask right now that you would breathe on us faith to believe you, that you're good, that you have options, that if you can make death, you can make torture amazing. What is possible in my life? Lord, I come to you with my story, and I say, for me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. I want to leave my no behind. I want to give you my yes. If we could have the worship team come. I want to tell you this. Paul says that we co-labor with Christ, but I want to tell you it's not an equal yoke. If you're co-yoked, there's a dominant cow that takes the smaller cow wherever it wants. And we are in yoke with Jesus. If we co-labor with him, he's the one in charge. And God, I lay down my right to veto. I lay down my right to say what is good and what is bad. God, I trust you. I listen to your word about what is bad. But if you lead me somewhere, there I will go. If we could stand as we go into worship, I just want to invite you. This is a time of surrender. This is a time of surrender. And if there's something God has put his finger, because I want to say, listen, I talk big, but it really comes down to this moment, to the one thing he has his finger on. With every one of us, there's one thing he has his finger on. Don't make it complicated. What's the one thing where he's calling us to surrender? What is the one thing? And if you're willing to trust him for that one thing, he'll give you another one later on. If you're willing to trust him for the one thing, I invite you to come down front as we worship.
For more information, go to ariselife.org or follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.